Well, I'm so happy that you're both here today, and giving us a little information about what's going on at the Hager Homestead. But first of all, I'd like you to tell a little bit about yourselves. Priscilla, you decided to buy one of the co-housing places?
Yes, I did. I'm Priscilla Williams, and I've been in Townsend for the past 34 years. And my husband passed away 20 years ago.
Oh.
So it was fun when we lived there together when we were young, in our 30s. And we developed, an acre property and lots of gardens and outdoor things. We did the house over. But now that I'm there alone, I've been there alone for 20 years, it's big. It's a lot to take care of.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't need such a big place myself. But the trick was finding someplace with like-minded people and people that I could be friends with and neighbors that I could help, and in return they could help me. So in this community, because we've been working for a few years, since 2018, we've been working on the project. Now I do know the people, and I sold my business this past year, a gardening business that I had in this part of the world, and I'm going to have a ready-made community to jump into, which is going to be great.
Yeah, that's good, because a lot of seniors, don't know how to get out there and meet people, or don't really want to go too far. And so this is like a good thing for you. Yeah.
Yes, very much.
And Diane, I read about you in the Lowell Sun on the 2021 paper. And so tell us how you got interested in this.
Well, a little before 2021, I had sold the house where I had raised my family, and I moved to a condominium in Westford. Shortly after I moved there, I had kind of an awful bicycle accident, bicycle versus pothole, and the pothole won. And I had required surgery on my left shoulder, and I fractured my left pelvis. So I was essentially, I had one arm attached to my body, and I had a crutch because I couldn't walk on my left leg for about 8 weeks. And it was awful. I had moved to the condominium. I didn't know anybody there. I had to send emails to beg my old friends, who sometimes live very far away, for a ride for surgery, to the doctors, for checkups. I paid people to bring me groceries. I had to ask people to help prepare food because I couldn't hold things with my left arm and cook for myself. And shortly after that, or actually just before and just after, I had learned about co-housing. So I said, wow, where is this co-housing community now that I need it with this horrible accident? So I got involved with co-housing. In 2020, right after COVID started, I got sick again and was pretty incapacitated. And the difference was like night and day. I had people calling me to see how I was, texting me saying, I'm going to text you every day to make sure you're okay. Home-cooked meals showed up outside my front door. Groceries showed up. People said, I insist you give me your grocery list. I will get it for you. I will come put it. I mean, it was just wonderful. And none of these people were in the condominium where I lived. These were all the friends I had made from the co-housing community. It was just amazing.
Yeah. So that makes it kind of understandable why you're interested in doing this project. So, well, let's see. What I want to know now is what's going on with the construction there, and why is it in Littleton?
Okay, well, it's exciting. It's right next door to the studio, and it's happening daily. Changes are happening, but the Hager Homestead building a community of 26 households for seniors 55 plus. And the homes, as you may notice, are smaller than what we've been used to. And they're clustered together on the 3 acres of the 15-acre parcel that you'll see on a site map as a blue polygon. We're clustered up near the federal house because that's the dry land that is buildable.
Right.
And you'll see walking paths between the units. Things are close together. So you won't need a car to a road right up to your door. You have the path instead. And the idea is that we have a close community. And each household is a condominium, especially legally, to the bank and so forth. And there will be shared common space because of the smallness of each unit. And there'll be shared common space in the White House, the existing White House that's there that was built in the 70s. That will be where we'll have a large dining area. There'll be space for everyone in the community to gather for a meeting or some kind of social event or maybe a concert, something of that sort. And that's where we'll all gather. And we liked Littleton, that was your second question. We liked Littleton because of its proximity to Boston, to a commuter rail, to major routes, but yet it had the small town feel that we wanted. We wanted to be able to walk on the sidewalk, to go downtown, to do an errand at the post office, and to go in the other direction to a walking trail.
Right, and close to hopefully a new senior center.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
We're really excited when the library and the senior center got built. We're also really interested in becoming, contributing to the Littleton community. At times when we have had tables at Third Thursday or other events in town, we've been approached by, for example, the Littleton Gardening Association, and they came by and said, we'd love to have gardeners, join us. And we said, wow, well, that's
I'm a
exciting. Oh, you are?
Okay, good. Very
That's
good.
great. So we're excited about contributing to the community as well.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Garden Club would love having more people, too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, then you're really explaining what the difference is between a condominium and co-housing, right?
Yes.
Because you were saying how you were in yours, and then we were talking about
Co-housing.
your idea of how you're going to live. So it kind of tells us what could happen.
Yeah, so Hager Homestead is legally and in all other ways a condominium development. The differences between condominiums, and there are many condominiums all over, everywhere, Massachusetts. The difference between a condominium and co-housing is really the use of, one thing is the use of the common space. Condominiums may have a clubhouse that's used occasionally for special events. Co-housing communities almost always have a common house where there's a kitchen that's set up for cooking for many people and a large dining room where most all the residents can come for common meals during the week, and places to gather to watch TV together or play board games or whatever. And the units, as Priscilla was saying, tend to be clustered together so that residents will accidentally run into each other during the day. So those, social interactions will happen because of the way the community is built. Condominiums will often tend to be spread out on a site with an attached garage where people can disappear from their car into their house, and you never get to meet your neighbors.
Just like you explained in the beginning. Yeah. Right. So if you are an introvert and you don't really want to mix too much, it doesn't matter, really. Do what you want, right? Or they might even be encouraged to get out of that introvert state and want to meet people, which would be lovely,
Right.
Yeah. There were interesting things going on that you might want to, be sure you didn't miss it. But yet you have that option. You could read the book at home alone, close your door, or you could go read it in the common house.
I bet that people moving in would tend to be people who want to mix. with others?
Actually, I think there are a lot of introverts.
Oh, really?
I think there are a lot of introverts who, like you said, Barbara, as we age, it's maybe a little harder to meet people. There's so much research about social isolation and the dangers to us as we age, becoming isolated, negative health impacts. So I think people who realize that and say, geez, I don't want to be isolated, this might help me, even though I'm not constitutionally an extrovert, you know, it'll help me because I'm living close to my friends. It makes it easier to be neighborly. And so I think you'd be surprised. I think there may be a fair number of introverts there, in addition to a number of extroverts, for sure. There's going to be a little of both. And what we like to say is you can have as much privacy as you want in co-housing, and open your door, and there's community.
Yeah, good, good. What's the age of the people that are interested right now?
You know, we have people interested from mid-50s, and we've got some members in the early 80s. It ranges all the way in between, so it's really a diverse group in terms of age, which we're excited about.
I also wondered about if, say, a parent has a child that has a problem. The parent is living in this co-housing, and the daughter, son, whatever, can't find a place to live yet and wants to live with her mother, or father, I guess. So what happens then? Can they?
They can do that as long as, you know, there's at least one person in the household over 55, which there would be already, the parent, right? And that there would be space for a second person, because some of these are one-bedroom units. Yeah.
Okay.
But then it's
Is there going to be a limit on how they can stay, do you think?
how long they could stay, maybe?
The child, like if they have to live with
If they had to
their
live? No,
parent?
I don't think there would be, no. But it's, you know, I would be concerned about the space.
Yeah,
Would there
okay.
be space for two people in the one bedroom? They'd
Yeah.
they'd have to work that out. And maybe, as you say, it's a temporary thing, but
Yeah.
it could go, temporary could go on for a few years.
Yeah, sometimes.
But we
It is
want to,
temporary,
we
though.
want to, you know, think of what I said before, we want to think of helping others in crisis times.
Yeah.
So for some households, maybe that this is a crisis, you know, and we'd like to be helpful if we could. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. I have a long list here, so let's see. I want to get, have you found resistance lately to doing this project?
No, not really. And I think in any small New England town, people are going to be worried about, what's happening to the neighborhood if something new is coming in or being renovated, you know. People are worried about that. But we had really good support, you know, early in the project, and I think, you know, that continues.
Aside, there are people who are concerned that the new building being built near the road is connected to the old house. And of course, they were worried about this old house losing the look, you know, and if it would ruin the style there. So I'm always wondering what it will look like when it's finished.
So I actually think there's a banner up on the fence, which may be hard to see if you're driving by in a car, which has the same artist rendition that you can see on the screen, perhaps, which was drawn by the architect. So we worked with the Littleton Planning Board, who suggested changes to our original proposal. The architect changed the way it looked so that we're going to, hopefully the design of the new large home is going to echo and reflect the same design of the federal house.
Oh, okay.
We're not the first people who've added on to or changed that federal house, and we're doing everything we can to restore and rebuild the federal house exactly as it was as much as possible. And it did need some work because some of the foundation was really disintegrating, unfortunately, we found. But we do look forward to the architecture matching the architecture of the original 1790s house, federal house, and the other homes in the area.
Okay. Yeah. It's like you were saying, it's a small town so far.
Yeah.
I think it's growing very fast. But so they're interested in the houses and, keeping the historic side of many of the houses that are here. So we'll wait and see, won't we? All right. We just said what it would look like. So do you have an idea when it would be finished?
We don't have an exact schedule yet, but we think construction's going to go on for about a year. We'd be really hopeful we could be done at the end of 2023, but somewhere around there, about another year.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Let's see. I'm going to have to read slowly here. What about the name?
Hager Homestead. The first time we saw the name, it was on a plaque on the front of the house. Now, the house was originally built by the Kimball brothers, as so much else was in Littleton, in the 1790s. By the early 20th century, it was called the L.A. Hager Dairy Farm.
Oh.
And Mr. Hager also sold a soft drink called Moxie. And he drove around Littleton in this thing called the Moxie Horsemobile, which is something with a fake horse mounted on it, and the driver's seat was like the horse's saddle. But many generations of the Hager family lived in that house. And last year, some of the descendants who actually grew up there came to Littleton and visited the Littleton Historical Society with some of the old photographs and other artifacts they had from the house, and they invited us to join them while they told stories about the house. It was really great to learn all that history.
Yeah.
And we love that we had chosen the name Hager Homestead and then got more richness by meeting some of the Hager family.
I'm glad that you had the answer because you do wonder sometimes where the names come from. And with all the names in Littleton, I hadn't heard that.
Well, yeah, when we learned it was built by the Kimball brothers, we're like, oh, everything in Littleton is named Kimball. So let's see if we can be more creative. And we were just thrilled to find this out, and then really thrilled to meet the Hager family.
How long did it take to plan all this? Because, I'm seeing different times where, okay, we're going to build the houses like this. All right, next meeting, 3 months away. Oh, and there's a name for us, and it just keeps going and going. All of you getting together to plan what's going to happen. So, do you know how long ago this started?
Well, it started actually in 2016 with two people who had the concept, and they searched for land within Route 128 but couldn't find anything. So the search got widened in 2018 when we came along, which pleased me because I wanted to stay in this area, And when did we buy the land? 2019
No,
or 2020?
2020. When did we find it? 2019.
Found it in 2019, but
2019.
bought it in 2020.
Late, anyway, it was a long process.
It was a long
Yeah.
process.
A very long
yeah.
process. So the community has grown since 2018. We have a governance system in place where we make decisions, like about names, like about how it will be, who will be the developer, and then they helped us
Who would
with
be the architect?
architect,
Yeah.
all those things.
We had design workshops where we got to participate in how
Ah.
it would be laid out.
And then it got changed entirely.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you're working pretty hard on this.
Yeah.
So the next thing is, do you know how many have been sold so far?
A little more than half.
Really?
Yeah, many of the early folks.
Are they Littletonians? Do you know?
We have at least one Littletonian so far, for sure, and we've been having info sessions and trying to reach out to the Littleton community. We've had a number of other folks interested, but it hasn't worked out either because of health or timing issues.
Right.
And we continue to reach out to Littleton. We hope we'll have more
Okay.
I'm sorry, what did you call it? Littleton.
Littletonians.
Littletonian.
Yeah, that's the. I like you using that. It sounds.
It's good.
I don't know. Pretty good. But are there some that are affordable units? And how are you doing that? Are you using a lottery or?
So as we get closer to finishing the project towards the end of next year, a number of additional units will become available that will be moderately priced or affordably priced. They will all be income restricted. 2 of those will be what people traditionally think of as affordable units and will be sold by a lottery,
Okay.
same lottery process that everyone's familiar with.
What about a resident using a walker or wheelchair? Is that okay?
One of the things that we really are thrilled about in this community and that we can do because we're building from the ground up is the whole site and every home is completely accessible, ADA compliant. So there are no steps outside. All the walking paths are graded so they'll be easy. There's an elevator inside the multifamily building so you won't have to walk stairs if you can't.
Wow.
And as you have a walker or wheelchair, all the doorways are wide and all the thresholds are even with the ground, so there's no problem getting over thresholds. We even have removable cabinets in the kitchens and bathrooms in case a wheelchair needs to be used
good.
there. So a lot of thought has gone into accessibility for seniors as they age in place.
Well, we've told a lot here. I hope people understand a little better. And how can they learn more? There must be more that they want to know. So how can they find out?
We have a website, hagerhomestead.org, and you can go on that and see more photos of the construction. You can sign up for an info session, and you can browse through all our past newsletters and sign up for more newsletters that will
Good.
keep you abreast of the progress.
Yeah.
And that's free, of course, to sign up. And then when the good weather comes back, we'll be tabling again at Fay Park and the Country Fair. So that's a chance to meet us in person.
Yeah. I like the idea of pamphlets too, because a lot of seniors who would be interested don't use a computer. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them more are using them all the time, but they don't go into sites sometimes. And so they're asking their friends who are probably guessing. And so any kind of pamphlet or newsletter would help too, you know, just to.
You know, we have
Postcard.
we have a postcard that we've developed, and we could talk about expanding it into the pamphlet with maybe
Right.
some of the contents from our newsletter. We
Yeah.
haven't, where would we put something like that?
Well, you could put it at the Council on Aging, the library,
Town
maybe
Hall.
even realtors.
Town Hall had a rack of things here, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Anything that you think people, maybe even, well, I was going to say the grocery stores, but I wonder if they have a spot like Market Basket
They
has a
used to,
spot
I
that you
thought. They
could
used
drop
to
things.
they used to have places like that.
Yeah, I would think I'd go just about every place I could think of.
You know, when we started in 2018,
used to
and
do
we had
flyers.
in-person info sessions in the area, we used to go around. There were only a few of us, and we used to drive around with a big thing of one-page flyers, and we would put flyers on bulletin boards in the grocery store. Remember
The
that?
libraries,
The
yeah.
library, wherever we could manage to put them up to get people to come. So that's
Well,
an
you
interesting
have-
idea.
The town office building with the Council on Aging in
Mm-hmm.
it, and Park and Rec is in it, and you know, it's just a start
Mm-hmm.
to, and of course the library, where a lot of people go.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, someone turning 55 or 56 might say, oh, I'm finding out about this, and maybe for some reason they might need something like this. So, do you feel like you've gotten some of the word out today?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for the great opportunity.
Well, I'm so glad that I finally met you both and that you could come today, and hopefully those 4 people watching will have the word.
That would be great. Thank you very much, Barbara. It's been great talking to you this morning.
I enjoyed it, and I feel like I learned a lot.
Good.
Now, if somebody asks me, at least
Oh, now you have the answers.
say something like,
Yeah, right.
oh yeah, yep, it's being built. Okay, well, thank you again, and I hope to see you again.
Okay.
And maybe when the project's finished, you can come in and
Oh,
just have a little news for everybody.
Have an update. Yes,
okay.
that sounds good.
Well, that's a great
Okay.
idea.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.